humorous intro with Mom's worries and Eddie's speedy actions, Denuo left a farewell note and decided to embark on an adventure for the cure with Eddie. That night, they hopped on the drifting adventure, and after a night of chaos, they finally sailed into the wide Mississippi River. Compared to massive cargo ships, their boat seemed a sprite from a fairy tale. They slid, laughing and playing, admiring the wonders on both sides, like sprites from the sky. Eddie entertained Denuo with all sorts of wacky stories to pass the time, but soon they realized they were drifting slower than a snail on vacation. They figured they needed at least 10 days to drift to New Liang, but Denuo only had meds for a few days at this rate. They might not even spot the dot before saying goodbye. After asking several captains, none were going their way except a thug willing to help for some fuel money. Eddie then started bargaining. They bargained from 20 down to 168. Denuo sensed something, but Eddie hushed him, with fruit knives in their pockets. They waited till pockets were empty, then boarded the boat. Eddie felt smug about his cleverness. Eddie unluckily went to the stern, only to find he was tricked. There was no chance of getting the money back, so he could only enjoy the scenery. No matter how stunning the scenery was, it couldn't stop the relentless passage of time and the boredom creeping in they started feeling they knew the next day. Eddie searched the cabin for something interesting and found an adult magazine. Their curiosity got the better of them as they eagerly read. Even if they had no clue what it was about, they were just there for the pictures. Then they accidentally found some cash hidden in a book by the shady guy, and while Eddie wanted to pocket a couple of bills, Denuo flat out refused. While they were bickering, the boat pulled into shore, startling them into putting the cash back. Then two beautiful girls came aboard, leaving their jaws on the boys got a taste of surfing thrills, but then the shady guy booted them to shore for a party, which really ticked Eddie off. Complaining was futile. They had to camp before dark. Eddie was woken by pain groans late at night. He discovered that Denuo was sick, feeling both cold and hot like he'd just taken a dip in molten metal. Eddie quickly handed over his dry clothes and asked why he was. Denuo explained, "When I wake up, it's like staring into a black hole, as if my soul has been vacated. It feels like I'm trapped in a cosmic abyss a million light years away, no warmth, just endless darkness and nothingness." Eddie felt a pang of compassion and handed him one of his shoes, thinking it might help dispel the fear. That night, Denuo slept soundly with Eddie's stinky shoe. Next morning, Eddie urged the guy to leave. The shady guy wanted more time with the girls, but Eddie's pressure led him to threaten. Eddie had to leave, grumbling, but Denuo's meds were only good for 3 days, and delaying any longer could spell disaster. Forced by necessity, Eddie secretly swam back to the boat and got his $168. With a heroic leap, Eddie started trekking with Denuo, shouldering all the bags to lighten his friend's load while zipping through the leafy wilderness. After what felt like forever waiting by the roadside, they finally managed to hitch a ride to the station. Before reaching the station, the thug appeared. They fled like ants on a hot pan. After a nail-biting chase, they ended up cornered in a dead end, with the shady guy looking like he was about to take his cash back, and then some. Eddie, in desperation, drew a small knife to threaten, but the thug was unfazed, having a larger one in his pocket. The caption shows the shady guy looked utterly bewildered, completely unable to comprehend what they were saying, when suddenly Eddie quickly chimed in, causing the shady guy to feel a bit flustered, but he swiftly regained his composure. Thinking the two were just trying to intimidate him, Denuo couldn't be bothered to argue. He simply sliced his palm with a small knife, and the tin. Seeing Eddie and Denuo inch closer, the shady guy genuinely panicked, abandoning his cash and fleeing with his buddy, while the boys gleefully chased. But their joy was short-lived because that little cut turned out to be fatal for Denuo. He collapsed weakly onto the ground. Eddie took off his jacket to bandage him, but Denuo wouldn't let him ever the martyr. He didn't want his friend to worry, even as death hovered. Again, they found themselves at the station, where Denuo was so weak he could barely stay conscious. They needed to find that miracle doctor ASAP. When Denuo finally woke up feeling woozy, he thought they'd arrived at New Liang, only to step off and see his mum. The one had been lost. He burst into tears, running into his mum's arms, discovering that Eddie had called her after all. Denuo's mum was unsure how to react. She didn't have a word of blame, knowing that this boy was just trying to help a friend. Soon after, Denuo was hospitalized, surrounded by tubes and drugs. The doctors revealed that there was no such thing as a miracle cure in New Liang. It was all just media hype. but undeniably, this tiny glimmer of hope forged their unbreakable courage. Denuo sketched this journey on paper, marking it as the most colourful stroke of his life. Just at that moment, the nurse in the corridor suddenly heard an alarm signaling equipment malfunction and hurried over to investigate the situation. Eddie sobbed heart-wrenchingly at the door. The doctor next door rushed over, finding it was just two kids' prank. But the mood shifted dramatically because when the nurse said, "It'll come sooner or later," they realized Denuo's life was running out of time. On the next day's checkup, Denuo found speaking painful and asked his doctor if he was dying. The subtitles read, "The doctor, in an encouraging tone, told him that throughout history, there have been numerous individuals who were gravely ill and on the verge of death, yet some of them inexplicably made a full recovery." After that, the doctor rushed out to scold the nurse for her slip-up because he really hoped to save Denuo. In the following days, Eddie played similar pranks than the doctors. Moving, they didn't get mad or blame the kids, but instead joined in on the laughter.